And I'm here. Um, Edgar here, Guns for Everyone. If you guys don't know, I appreciate you guys watching this. And before I get into what I want to talk about today, the video that I wanted to make is I want to ask you guys a favor, and I'm going to try my best to keep up with this and try and ask this every single video. But if you will, because I'm nosy, um, take a minute or two, go down to the comments, and tell me something exciting that has happened to you recently. Um, just being nosy, kind of want to see where this goes. Um, Part of it is trying to get out of a weird funk and all that shit. So I want to hear some exciting shit. So something over the weekend, something a month ago, 2 weeks ago that you're still excited about. Just take the opportunity to go down to the comments and something exciting about your life. And then we'll talk about this at the end as well. But at any rate, this video I want to talk about um, attorneys and more specifically how to or what to look for. What to look for. I don't know if I could tell you how to choose an attorney. It's a relatively complex issue, but we do highly recommend that you start looking for an attorney right now. Whether you pay for it yourself, whether you buy into an insurance, whatever it is, get an attorney. When it comes to the Second Amendment, when it comes to gun stuff, you want a criminal defense attorney if you're looking for somebody to defend you after you used your gun in self-defense. Criminal defense attorney. Obviously, if you're looking for somebody to advocate for you or civil suits and stuff like that, that's a little bit different. For the criminal defense side of it's a criminal defense attorney. It's weird how here in the United States we call it a criminal defense attorney. I never realized what a weird thing that was until I was in Mexico teaching a class, and one of the students was an attorney, is an attorney, and he does immigration stuff down in Mexico. But I asked him if he did any criminal defense stuff, and he was almost offended that I asked if he does any criminal defense stuff. His response was, "Why would I defend a criminal?" And I it clicked right then and there that here in the United States we call it a criminal defense attorney, assuming that you are a criminal right off the bat, and that's such a weird thing. You're not a criminal until proven guilty. So why do we call it a criminal defense attorney? It's because they practice criminal law. That's why we call it a criminal defense attorney. It's not necessarily because they're calling you a criminal. It's because they practice criminal law. So at any rate, the stuff that to look for, how to choose an attorney, some of it is kind of no duh type shit. Some other stuff maybe you haven't thought about, but at any rate, hopefully this helps you. And I should have a slide or whatever, but I'm not going to do that. The the problem that I see with a lot of students that have used their gun in self-defense that we have is they won't get an attorney until after they've used their gun in self-defense. And at that point, you're kind of back against the wall, and you're going to hire whatever the fuck human answers the phone first, gets back to you first, shows up first, all of that stuff. That's why you should start thinking about this right now. You want an attorney who is one familiar with the local law, and not just a criminal defense attorney from another state, not from another country. If that's a thing, there's a lot of attorneys who practice in multiple states, but I want an attorney who is going to be proficient in the law here in the state of Colorado and Nevada or in Arizona, wherever it is that you might be at. Is I want an attorney that understands this law and then understands case law in this state and understands the nuances in this state and understands the intent in this state and understands the history in this state. It's not good enough that an attorney understands overall criminal law, but there might be a lot of nuance that is required for the state, and I need that person to know this, him or her, to understand this. With that is somebody who is good at paying attention to detail, detail oriented. You want a human who's going to not only like in trial, which we'll get to in just a little bit, in trial and in reading through the evidence and watching cameras, and they or their staff at least should be really good at the details, paying attention to details. So detail oriented, that's a fantastic thing. That's something that you ought to look for. It's one of those, like, how do you look for that stuff? There's we might make a separate video about this. It might actually be a good video on how do I know they're detail oriented, that type of shit. So, but detail oriented. The other one is trial attorney. There is a difference between a trial attorney and an attorney that is not a trial attorney. There's a lot of attorneys that dedicate their life to not showing up to court. So they do a lot of paperwork and file motions and all this. I'll be honest with you, I don't understand it 100% how the fuck you could be an attorney that's not a trial attorney, but they exist. They exist. So you want an attorney who is experienced in trial, not just on paper. Somebody who's going to show up for you and actually fight for you in trial. There's a lot of procedures in trial. I don't know if you've ever fought a case, and I advise a lot of humans who think that what the attorneys do is easy. The next time you get a traffic ticket, fight it. Next time you get a traffic ticket, fight it. Go through the whole process. Um, be at the court with evidence and do your discovery and file motions and go through that entire process, and you'll see very quickly how important it is to have an attorney who is a trial attorney, somebody who understands when to object, somebody who understands what type of questions to ask and all that stuff. It's a fucking art. It is an art. So an attorney who is tried and true in trial, not just on paper. I kind of alluded to this, but an attorney that has a good staff, good paralegals that do research for the individual, that's a plus as well. That's a plus as well, especially in 2025 when help is kind of difficult to come by. You want an attorney who has that staff and has that support. An attorney that is a good communicator. You want an attorney that's a good communicator, not just with you, but with the other side in court, a good presenter. And there is a difference between a good communicator and a good presenter. I often talk about this in my classes, how I myself am a superior presenter than Isaac. I believe this anyways. I may be wrong, but Isaac is a better communicator than I am. So I present better than he does. He communicates better than I do. And you want somebody who can kind of do both, present and communicate correctly. That is absolutely important. Absolutely important. Um, why? Well, in court, I'm going to have to present this evidence. I'm going to have to fight for my client. I'm going to have to say things in favor of my client. I'm going to have to say things against the prosecution, and I'm going to have to present this in front of humans, and I'm going to have to be able to communicate this properly. So, a good communicator, not just with you in emails and phone calls and that type of stuff. That stuff is super important, but also a good communicator in court, a good communicator in court, a good presenter in court. That is also an art to be able to present and communicate. I'm trying to work on for a very long time, I couldn't give two shits about my ums. But now that I'm making these videos a lot more, that's really why I want to get rid of the ums more than anything else. And more than anything else in videos, is it gets annoying after a while, all of the ums. Now imagine that in court when you have an attorney presenting a case and every other thing is it becomes distracting. It becomes potentially detrimental to your case, and it's a subconscious thing. It's not even an intentional thing. It's a subconscious thing. So, having somebody who's a good presenter, having somebody who's a good communicator, somebody who is s- uh, engaged and plugged in to that world. I hate to say this, but somebody who is rubbing elbows, so to speak, to with the people in court, with the judges, and not in a negative way, not in a corrupt way. But I've seen judges and I've seen prosecution teams and trial attorneys bump heads, in court, and sometimes it's for valid reasons, and sometimes it's because of history. And that's the stuff where you kind of have to be somewhat afraid of, is if you have an attorney who's hated. They an example that I give often is, there was a rapper who was on trial, and his attorney fought for his client. I can't remember who the rapper was, and I can't remember who the attorney was, but it was all over. You guys can look it up. And the attorney challenged the judge on a meeting that was done without their involvement. So this meeting became a kind of a controversy because they should have been involved. And the judge did not appreciate an accusation of them having ex parte meeting. And the attorney basically said, "It is what it is. You guys did illegal shit. You shouldn't have done this." And the judge ended up holding him in contempt of court. I think he had to do some time in jail. He was able to fight it and not end up going to jail. But he's like, "Yeah, I'll go to jail if this is what I have to do. I'll go to jail. Put me in the same cell as my client. Do it." There's a difference between that, an attorney who will fight for you and will rub a judge the wrong way for the benefit of the client, and an attorney who just pisses everybody off. I probably would not be a good attorney because I just piss everybody off. I just like to, I'm a shit talker and all that stuff. So I probably would not be a good attorney because of that. So you want an attorney who is plugged in with the community and involved and well respected and maybe feared for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons, feared for the right reasons. You also want an attorney with resources, not financial resources. There's a lot of great attorneys out there that are not rich and they don't have big fucking offices and any of that stuff, but they have the resources because they're plugged in. They have the PIs and they have the detectives and they have the ability to get information and that type of stuff. They have the resources. They're resourceful human beings. Kind of ties in a little bit um with the communication and the well respected and having a good staff and all of that stuff. But you want somebody who's resourceful, somebody who is going to get all of the information needed and have all of the expert witnesses and subject matter experts and all of that shit at your trial. You want somebody who's got all of those resources. These are very basic, fundamental things that you ought to look for in an attorney. Yes, when how successful are they? That's super important. Absolutely important. And that information you can find as well. That information isn't a secret. You can sometimes ask that attorney for all of the cases that they've tried and win losses and all that stuff. And you could also look up their bar. In the state of Colorado, to be honest with you, I've never done it, but I understand that there is a process where you can kind of like the BBB type shit, where you're looking up for negative stuff and disciplinary stuff and all of that shit. So you can look up all this information, but it's information that you can gather. Yeah, it's important for you to see how much they won and how much they've lost, but it's also important to understand why they won and why they lost. I think we put way too much emphasis on they just lost. Now, if it's they lost every fucking case, then yeah, probably not the human for you. But if they have a mostly successful record and they have some losses, like it's important to understand why they won and why they lost. I think having an attorney that's ethical is super important. There's one time a student of mine, he had brought up, well, if I come up to my attorney and my attorney advises me to take the plea bargain and I say no, we're going to fight it. Like I guess an attorney, I mean, I'm not an attorney, so I don't know how that conversation would go, but if I'm paying you money, if I'm paying you the attorney money, it's because I don't know shit and you do, because you have the information and I don't. I, as the client, should be well informed or informed enough with the process to understand whether I'm being fed bullshit or not. I get it. It's your case. It's your money and you can fire this human. I get it. But I think it's a responsible to a certain degree. And again, if you're an attorney, if I can write it down and explain why. But I believe if you're an attorney and you know your client maybe isn't going to win this, and maybe you won't say your client is guilty, and maybe you won't tell your client, I think you I think you did the wrong thing, and you are trying to save your client from going to jail, and you insist on no. I heavily believe you should, based off of the evidence, you should take the plea, or whatever offer they've got, because this is your best chance at not going to jail for the fucking rest of your life, or whatever the case may be. I don't think you should have an attorney who says, "Yeah, I'll do whatever you want. As long as you pay me money, I'll do whatever the fuck you want." At the end of the day, this attorney should understand what's best for you, not what's best for their pocketbook. And sometimes the plea bargain is what's best for you. So I think that's where the ethical side of it comes as well. I genuinely believe that an attorney should have some level, even if just a smidgen, of used car salesman in them. Eh, Kind of slimy, but in a positive way. There's always this positive way of being slimy because it's for the benefit of the client. It's for the benefit of the client. So it almost has to be there, right? There's these attorney's job is to help you not get convicted of a potential crime that you may or may not have committed, an alleged crime, if you will. So there's got to be that level of mm, sliminess without being a piece of shit, I guess, without being a piece of shit. That's probably the best way of saying it. So, at any rate, I think that's a short list. I might make a different video with Isaac talking about each section a little bit more, or maybe I'll make a video with just a quick little like, how do you look for this, or what to look for when you're looking for this. So I'll rewatch this and I'll kind of maybe go in order and do some shorts or something that goes with this. But I hope this helps. At the beginning of the video, I asked you, what did you do in the past, just recent past, not like your entire life, past weekend, past month, that type of shit that's been exciting. Now that I'm ending the video, I want to know coming up, exciting shit that you've got coming up. It doesn't have to be gun related. It could be other shit. It could be gun related. I'm going to buy a gun, going on vacation. I've been looking forward to this. Isaac's been doing these videos, and I think that's pretty exciting for him. It's small shit, right? But it's these videos about reading comments and shit like that. Those are always good. I always enjoy those videos. So Isaac's been doing that. That's pretty cool. My wife and my daughter doing art stuff. I think my son's still doing 3D printing shit. He hides in his room, and I don't see him for fucking weeks. So I don't know between jobs and all that shit. So I don't know, but I think he's doing 3D printing stuff. But my second daughter and my youngest daughter, my oops, doing art. My wife doing art. You guys can go check that shit out. Maybe I'll link it down below. So that's exciting for them. My oldest daughter is trying to get her YouTube channel back up. I used to help her produce that channel, so I'll link that down below. She's trying to find a venue and all that stuff, so that's exciting for her. So I want to know exciting shit. Guns for Everyone is going through the shit right now because of the market. The market is just weird, and people not donating as much. But as much as I want to bitch and complain about that, it leaves room for exciting shit coming up in the future, right? It's scary, frustrating, don't know how you're paying bills and shit like that, but at the same time, it's always that opportunity to do some other shit. I'm also excited to figure out why the fuck this light keeps flickering. That's weird. So excited about that. So I want to hear about you. Put it down in the comments. What's exciting that's coming up for you? Want to hear that shit. So hopefully at the beginning you already wrote down what you did in the past that was exciting, recent past that was exciting, and then what you're doing in the near future that's exciting. So hopefully you got some exciting shit. And if you don't, fucking start working on that shit. Come up with some exciting shit. Appreciate you guys. And if you guys can help us out with donations, please do so. Gunsforeveryone.com, gunsforeveryone.com. You can go donate there. For the legal fund, you can donate to the legal fund. Or you could just go to gfenational.com. We've got a donate or a membership site there. That helps us out a lot. If you go to gfenational.com and donate, buy some of the merchandise that you're probably seeing in this video, buy that merchandise. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.